Hip hop loves its record sales. What up, words? Your boy Challz Brown back again, talking facts. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell. Keep sending those Cashaps to CLBMG. Join the membership. Gang, listen. This is going to be more of a rant. This is going to be more of me trying to decipher what I'm seeing right now online. And one of the things I'm seeing online that is absolutely mind-numbing and it's absolutely frustrating. It is the surgence. And I know where the surgence is coming from, but I can't blame it all on the bubble bath rappers, fans. But there is a resurgence up and down my timeline, gang, of non-stop posting of record sales. I believe that Drake has somehow returned, which I've told you that UMG has decided to ensure that Drake record sales quadruple and do all kind of flips and tumbles and bounces and seemingly put him back on top. But the Drake fans do not care why. They just know that Drake is selling at a level that we haven't seen in months and years. And now he has Take Care back on the charts, and quite a few of his other records. Views are back, and a lot of people are feeling nostalgic. So they're going back to listen to these old releases. But not only are they going back to listen to them, his fans are actively pushing these. We know for a fact that they got behind the Take Care album to kind of force feed it back into the charts, and then they can brag about it. But that's not the biggest issue. Drake fans are extremely, they really are, like, really, there's something else, gang. But that's not we got here for some reason. We didn't just fall into this world where you can't go on your Twitter without seeing 15 posts about Drake's record sales versus everybody else in the industry, and it's all day and every day. We got here for a reason. We got here since Twitter was created. I think Twitter is 10 years old now, and we've slowly watched the needle be moved from if the music is actually good to did it actually sell. And it's become a thing where trash music can be said that it was good because it sold a lot of records, right? I am not the biggest Travis Scott fan, and by no stretch, and not by biggest, I mean not at all, right? I am not a Travis Scott fan, but Travis Scott is on the list of all-time selling MCs, of rappers, artists of all times, and I have a list, and I will be discussing that. But there's a lot of people on here that if it was just based on quality, I don't know if their name would be ringing as much. But what we've stepped into in this hip-hop phase of life is if you can prove you can sell, then you can sell even more, right? And I can't blame it on streaming, because back in the day, meaning late 90s, early 2000s, record labels figured out first week sales matter. Getting your name mentioned on MTV as one of the highest selling, highest grossing acts of the week back when Nelly was getting big, and DMX and even before that. But they figured out what was the TRL and all this stuff, and whatever episodes came on after you got out of school, right? When you were out of school and you would go home and throw your book bag down, and you would turn on TRL or whatever was on BT for the countdown or what have you. Whatever those records were, those were the records you grabbed up your piggy bank, and then you went to the mall and you bought that record because it was apparently hot, right? So record labels started to figure out, we can't have a dud as a first week sale. So believe it or not, those records used to sit in the warehouse because the record label would pay for those records up front. It became a thing where it in the long run, it paid off longer for them to buy all those records and say the shit was platinum rather than to have it shipped and those records get returned unsold. It was better to just pay for it first week, and then slowly people would go and buy those records in real life. The records that the label was faking that they sold, they would go and buy those records in real life because they thought the record was hot. It became an industry practice, right? it also became an industry practice to go and pay those DJs a little bit as wicka, just give them a little scratch. And they can play your record a little bit more times, which made it feel like that record was hot, right? We've all heard the stories of radio programmers being paid to put certain records in the mix, right? As they say, the drive at 5, right? The hot at 8 or whatever. And once your record is in that mix and the longer is in that mix, the longer it has a chance to sell and get those units off the shelves. And we've seen a lot of things come from that, like the payola. They started to name it payola, and we started to they were kicking in doors and snatching up all kind of CDs, this, that, and the third, and going after DJs who accepted payola. They made it a federal law. You can't, because what payola ensures is that the labels will have total control over the music industry. There's a lot of money, gang. It's millions involved with this music stuff. It's not billions. Actually, at this point, it's not just a little thing where, oh, he paid this DJ to play the music, da-da-da. Well, it's not organic. And what happens is, this is where you get those records you didn't like at first, and all of a sudden, by the 20th time, you're in your kitchen cutting onions, and you're singing along, right? You're singing to Ashanti where you didn't like it at first, or whatever it was. And next thing you know, that's your jam. It's 3 weeks later, and you don't know why. You just know all the words, right? So that's what happens, and record labels count heavily on being able to oversaturate certain songs and block out others. Maybe a really great record, right there. Remember that record, Method Man? Oh, I really like that record. They don't play it no more. Yeah, guess what? Because they playing fucking Whitney Houston or whatever because they're getting paid to, right? A really trash record that nobody really likes out of nowhere. You're snapping your fingers because you've heard it 1,000 times, right? And this is what happens when we get caught up in, the sales, and they need them. They need that record to be spun. They need those visuals to make it like this artist is hot. So when they go on tour, guess who's coming out? The whole city's coming out to see this artist because they're hot. And we've gotten to a point where we started to equate someone that appeared to be on TRLs. You know what I'm saying? Like they appear to be on an upward trajectory. No one wants to fall in love with an artist that seems like they're about to get dropped from their record label or they're about to fall off the charts. You're not going to fall in love with that artist. It is what it is. Ask Nelly Furtado. Like, it's a lot of people that are up one day and the next thing you know, they're like, what happened to them? Right? So it's like, you're like, I'm like a bird one day, and the next day it's like, where's the bird? I don't see the bird no more. So what it is they need the appearance of success. And we've gotten to a point where the appearance of success is more important than the actual music. And now all day, every day on my timeline and some of you guys' timeline, you're getting bombarded with sales. It's now we went from, okay, it was cool, but it was cool to have your artist do 1 million. It was something to brag about. Now it's like all you hear is to the point we got to know the weekly sales now. Now it's every week. What did it sell? What did it sell from Thursday to Thursday? You got academics. I say this all the time. He's promoting the first week sales of whatever. He's telling you the sales before he's telling you the predicted sales. The academics, like, Lil TJ predicted to sell 17,000 the first week. And then they go in the comments. It's engagement for him, but it's devastating for an artist. Because then Lil TJ could really do 50,000. Well, it's never that drastic. It's always around. It's never the same what the predicted sales is, but it's always around that. So they don't even want the predicted sales to be low. Because then, in this world right now, they're writing you off. They're like, oh, it's double wood, it's cardboard, it's triple paper. So then you get all these comments, and they're slamming your release, right? Ask Nav and all these other people, right? So it's like they're slamming your release, and then now people won't go listen to it. It's sad, but it's true. Like somebody comes out with a record, 50K first week, then they're like, oh, wait, maybe other people like this record? So then people go want to hear it. Or God forbid, you get Taylor Swift numbers and the whole world want to hear it, whether they like her or not. They're like, well, goddamn, why everybody listen to this shit? Let me go listen to this shit. We've all fell victim to that. We'll go listen to something that we don't want nothing to do with it. Like, I don't like Flo Rida, but why everybody else do, right? So it's like, you need these sales now as an indication. I went on AI. I was like, AI, what's the obsession? Why do we even care about record sales? And this is what AI kicked me back and said, They use it as an objective measure of an artist's commercial success. This is the label. They also use it to gauge an artist's career trajectory, and the labels use it to make investment decisions and how well their decisions went when they invested in this artist. So those three things are majorly important to a label. Now, we've decided we're record execs. Like I say all the time, like Jid came out with his new album. Salute to Jid. He got an album called God Does Like Ugly, which is a smacker. It didn't really do well in sales, but it is perfect hip-hop prototype. And he said fans argue among themselves as if they're the record execs themselves. And I'm like, it's so true. You'll see fans going for hours back and forth. Guy he'll go on Twitter, say something, come back later. Somebody done said something about the record sales, and he'll go back, eat some pinto beans, come back and respond. They're just back and forth all day about, well, the sales, well, da-da-da. These guys will argue about record sales. Well, why is he selling out selling them then? Why does he have 2 million? Da-da. So artists, rap fans and hip hop heads, now we getting into arguments about the record sales, which has nothing to do with nothing. Right? The first record I believe to chart at all was Sugar Hill Gang's Rapper's Delight. I'm sorry. And that record started an upward trend of hip hop going up the charts. That was one of the first big records that we had from hip hop, right? They didn't even want to press up hip hop records back in the day. They didn't even put the shit on wax at all. Let's just be honest. But here we are at a point where now all we can do, let's keep it a buck. We did get some artists that rose up those charts like LL Cool J and the Fugees and this, that, and the third. We got their success because they sold. That's going to always be a fact. Some of your greatest artists, Wu-Tang Clan and people like that, bucked the odds and came with like real hip hop, and the people gravitated to it, and we got really great artists because of sales. And we lost some really great artists because they couldn't sell, like OC and people like that, a Large Professor. A lot of people fell by the wayside because they couldn't sell, even though they were great rappers, right? Pharoah Monch, to this date, at this point, has one hit record. It was a big record, right? Get the fuck out. Pharoah Monch had a really big record that year when he dropped Simon Says. When he dropped Simon Says, forget it. You couldn't go no club, but this is when hip-hop was more really acceptable. Real hip-hop records were accepted in clubs. J. Rue the Damager, Method Man, all that shit. So it was a better time. It was a really better time for hip-hop. Like, you can get Mobb, you can go in the club, hear Mobb Deep, hear Raekwon. So in a real nightclub, you would still hear real hip-hop. That was for a time until they really put the formula down on it. They were like, yo, the stuff we want to hear is going to sound like this, and this is the only stuff we're going to really get behind. And it became the Wild Wild West of trying to make these half street records with half commercial formulas. That's when we got into a more formulaic style of hip hop and very shiny suit. And, you know, DMX had to come back and restore the game, but that was only for a while. We got right back to it. So we had these moments where hip hop was on the charts and we got some really good artists out of it because the charts were reflecting what people wanted to hear at the time. But then we moved forward and we got to a point where it just, I want to call it like, where it was an emo time where a lot of artists could come along very emo and do very well on the charts, but they weren't really looked at in hip hop circles whatsoever. Like Lil Zane and people like that. Like they in hip hop circles, no, they weren't really accepted. But for some reason, right? And let's be honest, XXX to a degree, he was in that lane too, but he bucked our system and came in with his own lane. But at the beginning, a lot of that emo stuff, Lil Uzi Vert and people like that, it had its place, and a lot of people ate really well off that, but that wasn't traditional hip hop. So we had to make a new space for it, and they were calling all kind of mumble rap. They had all these different names for this, that, and the third, but that came in its own wave, that SoundCloud wave, and it pushed a lot of stuff out the way, and it made its own lane, and for a time, that was good, right? For the people that wanted to hear that, and some good stuff did come out of that era, but it became, if it can sell, we put it on the plate. Don't matter what they sing about. Don't matter what they rapping about. We'll call anybody a rapper. They calling Post Malone a rapper at this point. Anybody can rap if you can sell records. It became, we don't care. We'll add anything to the genre of hip hop if it can sell units. So now we got a lot of sketchy stuff being tagged with hip hop just because it can sell units. And we got to a place now that all we want to talk about is first week sales. And the record labels pushing this narrative because their whole thing is the more sales, the more we eat, the more money we make. So now they want to push it on you that sales matter. They want to push it on us that the radio spins matter. Meanwhile, these are all things that they can fake. Let's just be honest. They can fake record sales. They can fake streams. They can fake pretty much anything. They can fake how much people like the record. Grease a couple palms, right? And maybe it really is a good record, but does it matter how much it sold? It shouldn't matter, but now it's to the point where that's all that matters. And that's why they're up and down my timeline trying to prove this record sold more than that record. And that some kind of way is a badge of honor for that artist because now he's better. Right now, the Drake fans aren't posting sales because they want to say that he's the most best-selling artist. They want to say he's better than him, right? He's better than all of them because he sells these amounts of records. He sells so many records. He has to be better. If he can sell 1 million more than him, then he's better. Right now, they're equating the musical quality to the amount of sales. This is where we are with hip-hop now. If I can sell more than you, I'm better. End of story. So now they're even adding in the tour. I saw a post. This post, they got a post now circulating that Drake has $779 million of total tour sales. They've added up all of his, it's something around that. I don't have it exactly, but it's like $779 million of tour lifetime sales. Now it's like since Kendrick went on this tour, he made a lot of money. I'm just gonna be honest. This thing with SZA, this GNX tour, and that tour is making a lot of money. So they're like, you know what? And it's catching up to this magical It's All a Blur tour that outsold everything. This dude did 80 shows and made all this money, but Kendrick is creeping up. I'm telling you, that's why Kendrick added that South American leg. He's like, I want to take the last thing you got, because literally, for a couple months while this tour was going on, they were reposting that It's All a Blur. It hasn't been touched. He hasn't touched it yet. So I think that's why Kendrick low key quietly he extended this tour. He put it in Australia. He put it in North America. I'm sorry, South America. I think quietly he's trying to knock that little record down. Because your boy did it, your boy Drake did it in 80 something shows, but they were all arenas. They weren't stadiums. And this guy is quietly doing a lot more money than that with these stadiums. He's not talking about it, he's not bragging about it, he ain't tweeting about it, he ain't trying to pop up the, but I think he's quietly trying to get these numbers to topple that. But that's a whole nother thing. But now their new thing is, since that's going on, that now they're posting, and I told you, they have these Zoom meetings where the narratives, and one of them days, I want to say maybe 5 days ago, the narrative, they woke up with a fresh cup of coffee. They were like, guys, how about we do this? How about we just add up all of Drake's tours, all of the tours he ever done, right? Put them together, and we're gonna say, okay, he's the highest touring artist in history. That's gonna be the narrative today. We're gonna run with it. So now we gotta combine everything. So now it's even record sales, tours. We all know that this guy's a pop star. We've been conceded that. You know what I'm saying? So there's nothing, we can't take that from him. It is what it is. But at this point, they're making even those pop numbers equate to he's better. He's better than Kendrick. He's better than your favorite rapper. He's better than Jay-Z because he sells so many records. He does so much money on tours. So now it's like all about whatever amount of money, which, mind you, the sales have nothing to do with the fans because we don't get a penny of that. Only him and his label can dilly up and dolly up those sales. That only matters to Drake and Lucien Grange, how many sales this guy has and don't has. But for some reason, that has trickled down to these fan pages and this and that. Nicki Minaj and all these different fan pages. All they want to hear and all they want to talk about is sales, sales, sales. Right? Like they're in inside sales. Like they pick up the phone and make sales. Like they get credit for the sales. Well, I get a Christmas bonus if I sell a certain amount of sales. But we're just fans and somehow we're obsessed. And we all want to know what the artist sold. Let's just be honest. Like, okay, you're kind of indicative of, okay, does the rest of the world want to hear my guy? Do they want to hear what my guy is saying? Do they want to hear Mr. Morale? What did it sell? Because I know they're going to talk shit. Let me see. What is going to sell? Well, Mr. Morale did X, Y, Z. So you're like, breath of release. He got some numbers. You don't want to hear the motherfucker sold 20,000 units. You don't want to hear that shit. You don't want to be like Joey Badass sold 9,000 units after all that shit. You're like, damn, cuz, like, you know what I'm saying? It kind of take the air out of it. I get it. I understand. I'm with you. But at the same time, we're putting so much emphasis on sales. You know why? Because so many voices now can say it's mid, it's trash. Da, da, da. Like a lot of records I really love, they came out and certain fan bases will come out. Not just Drake. Any idiot with a fucking with a phone could be like, it's trash, it's mid. So you got to figure out, okay, how mid can it be if the shit did 350,000 units in the first week? So people start clinging to that. And like, it can't be mid, like this Jack Boys 2 shit, right? Travis Scott, Jack Boys 2. Even his fans, let's be honest, even his own fans were like, this ain't it. I thought this was going to be better. I waited a long time for this. It seemed like he threw it together. It seemed like demos. It seemed like, you know what I mean? It seemed like some of the stuff is unfinished. It seemed like he didn't need it. It seemed like he only threw it out to mess with the Clips rollout. Even his own fans were like, this album ain't it. Now, yeah, some of the fans were pleased. Some of the fans are like, yo, I always tell you about my brother-in-law who loves Drake. He hit the group chat up. Yo, this Jack Boys 2 is fire, right? He loves it. So I'm not gonna say nobody loves it, but end of the day, some people loved it. But the consensus was, when I went online, when I went up and down the timeline, a lot of people thought Jack Boys 2 wasn't that great. And these were people in his fan circle that were like, yo, I didn't really feel this record. But when it's doing 300 and some thousand plus, it's hard to say it's whack and it's mid. We're going to say that anyway, but you can't tell somebody when it's doing 300,000 units on the first freaking couple days. It's hard to say that it's mid or it's whack or whatever. So people are clinging to that. What's their comeback when you're like, it's mid? They'd be like, yeah, you sure? With 350,000 units sold the first week. Da, da, da. So that's becoming the measuring stick for the fans, for the labels, and this, that, and the third. And now hip hop itself it's eating itself to this point, to this degree, where now all we want to know is what it did the first week. What are the first couple of days? We don't realize these records sell for years and years. We don't realize that these people will tour and double that, right? When you hear these low numbers, like Joey Badass could literally double that, right? Or vice versa, someone with all of those streams and all of those units moving, and so that can be fake, let's just be honest. But let's say it's not fake. He can sell all that and then try to go on tour, right? Now, this ain't the same. I know it's not the same, but I'm just going to use this as an example. Bobby Shmurda, right? Multi-millions of units was sold on that song. He got out of prison, tried to do a 30-city tour. That tour didn't sell 10 tickets in any city that he tried. They had to cancel the whole tour. And Bobby Shmurda has several millions of followers on his Instagram alone. Millions. So you come out, you're not necessarily going to be able to move any units, even though you're not going to be able to move the units of people in the building. You're not going to be able to sell tickets just because that thing sold so much or sold whatever in the first week. But we don't care. As hip hop, all we want to know is, what did it sell first week? Did it go number one? We caring about the chart positions and this, that, and third, which is that. Let's be honest. That only pop people cared about that at one point. You only cared about that if your shit was popular. Back in the day, Big Daddy Kane came out. We didn't know what the fucking said. We don't know what everybody in the hood had it. Bootleg, whatever. Everybody had a copy of a copy. Everybody talking about Big Daddy Kane. You talking about Rakim. Everybody talking about Wu-Tang. When Kanye first dropped the first album, what's the first album? College Dropout. When Kanye first dropped he didn't drop shit. What happened was it got leaked. That first College Dropout got leaked. Kanye was a fucking star in the hood because everybody had that bootleg of College Dropout. Everybody. And we were bumping that. We're sitting there playing Madden, bumping that thing on repeat, letting the whole thing go. When it all falls down, the original sample with Lauryn Hill and all that. So he was a star in the hood. He didn't get no credit for those sales. That thing was a bootleg. Everybody in the hood had it. But everybody in the hood knew who Kanye West was. He had to re-record some of that stuff. He had to take Lauryn Hill off because she didn't clear the sample. He put almost a different product out. And the joint did mad numbers. But at the end of the day, before it even dropped, he was a star in the hood. Couldn't even pronounce the name. That dude, Kane West, but he was a star. And that's what hip-hop really is about. So a lot of that stuff be on mixtapes. You never heard mixtapes was stuff you was never going to hear online unless you physically bought the mixtape from the corner store or your man gave it to you. You wasn't going to hear half this shit. That's the beauty of mixtapes. But then they changed mixtapes and started putting real songs on there. That's why they started kicking in doors trying to round up mixtapes, because they was putting real music that they really wanted, the labels really wanted to sell. Start putting them on the mixtapes as exclusives. This shit the nigga dropped this shit in 2 weeks and you putting it on your mixtape. Glue. So they're like, no, hell no. We kicking these doors. We running up all these tapes because y'all really stealing music. It's called piracy. So a lot of stuff got real and this, that, and the third, but hip hop was never about these sales, and this is where we are. Right? I went and looked, I was like, who got the most sales? Like, why do we talk about this so much? Eminem, 224, is the #1 selling artist in history. It doesn't mean Eminem is great or not great. I like Eminem. The #2 artist is Drake, 169. Kanye, 120. These are millions, 120 millions that Kanye did. Jay-Z is under Ye, believe it or not, 101 million. Tupac, 87.7. At one point, Tupac was the highest selling until he wasn't, right? At one point, Tupac was the highest selling rapper in history. That was years ago, back when the internet, like, you know what I'm saying? The internet been around for a while. But at one point, it was Tupac. And all these guys, think about it. Jay-Z, Kanye, Drake, Eminem, all of them are years after Tupac was gone. So after a while, they started to sell. Now, right under Tupac, Kendrick, 73 million records sold. I don't know, this list could be dated, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Snoop, 6,500. Actually, under Kendrick is Travis Scott, 65.9. Snoop, 65.1. Lil Wayne, 54.2. Nicki Minaj, 60.2. That's the top 10 rappers in history with the sales. Now, you can say whether they're good or they're not good. Everybody on that list can rap, right? Pretty much everybody on the list is iconic. I mean, I don't know about Travis Scott, but everybody else on that list is pretty much going to go down in history as iconic rappers. So they deserve those numbers. But why? Would they not deserve them numbers if they didn't have those? I mean, would they not deserve the respect they get? They deserve, what I meant to say, they deserve that respect. But without those numbers, these are the best that the game has ever seen, right? Now, would they not deserve that respect if they didn't have those numbers? Some people equate those numbers to how good the rapper, their legacy is, how good the rapper has done in history. It does matter, gang. I'm gonna be honest with you. Numbers do set a precedent of how good the rappers are, because they can't, if you can't sell no records, you really can't say, oh, that rapper's really good. Now, there's a lot of good rappers that can't sell a lot of units, but they're really good rappers, but they don't know how to make real records. They don't have the right team around them to get real records, or they just won't listen. They're like, nah, I ain't making that soft bubblegum bullshit. Some rappers are just really good rappers, and we got to decide, do we want really good rappers or really good rappers that can move units? That's the eternal question. If we can decide what that means, then we go from there. It says Future, 50 Cent, Nelly, Juice WRLD, and XXX, XXXTentacion. Those are the 5 that come after that. So it extends itself to other sounds and this, that, and the third, and different regions. But at the end of the day, are we going to determine this rap stuff is all about the sales? Because, gang, like right now, you really right now, this new generation, they're only going to care about sales. And what's going to happen, they're going to be easily manipulated, because they're not going to really delve into how is it supposed to sound, what is rap, what is hip hop, They're like, well, did it sell? Well, then whatever it sold, what did that sound like? So they're going to try to recreate that. That's why rap is on a down decline. That's why rap is having the lowest sales, because they're trying to emulate. The labels are feeding you the same sound over and over and over. There's no substance. There's no stuff. You got to have substance, gang. I don't know if you know this. It got to have some kind of soul and heart, or it just won't work. So I'm going to leave it at that, man. I don't know why hip hop has become a thing obsessed with sales, and all we can talk about is what is sold, sales. What did this sell? Me personally, I care very little about what it sells. Yes, it's a cute little blurb to look up and see what the first week's sales are. But at that point, I don't care no more. I move on, because it doesn't really matter. I'm gonna listen to it. I don't even know what the sales are for most of the stuff I listen to. I'm just gonna be honest. I listen to a lot of stuff that's pure boom bap, pure hip hop. I'll play it. It doesn't matter. I don't know if you guys know, but there's a whole movement online right now of some really, really good rappers, right? Shay Noir and 38 Special. It's some really good rappers. Stove God Cooks. It's a lot of elder statesmen are making some really good records. Method Man still cooking. I just saw a new Redman and Method Man record just dropped. So there's a lot of good music out there that has nothing to do with the record sales. I don't know what Redman record sales are. I don't know what Graph sold. I don't know what's my guy. It's quite a few. It's so many people that I'm listening to. I don't know what they sell. Don't care. We'll never search it, because it's not about that. Right, yeah, I'll get what Kendrick first week sales were. I'll hear that, because they won't let you not hear that. But I don't seek it out. I'll hear what the clips did, because that was a big topic, what the Clips was going to do with this rollout. They were so mad at the Clips. Did such immaculate rollout. They wanted it to flop, and it did not flop. And they did very well, and it's still climbing. They just performed at the Vatican, so the Clips are climbing. That's the thing. You can, whatever your first week sales was, you're going to triple that. You're going to quadruple that. Over the people don't care about the process. The process is you're going to work a record 6 months to a year. We've lost that. The process now, you got to get your first week sales, and they're checking out. Man, I'm out of here, man. Let me know what you think in the comments about this sales issue. It's just something I wanted to get off my chest, have a conversation about. You know what I mean? You could get in the comments and tap in and let me know what you think, all right? Every Wednesday night, we go live, me, TJ, and Fliz. It's called The What Show. We probably will discuss this topic. Also, head on over to black-yeti.com. They ship all over the continental U.S. Let them know who sent you. All right, I'm going to catch y'all on that flip side. Peace.
Look, mission impossible to drop a few lines without dropping old times when Southern Hill was still a gold mine. When pistol grips was my shit and I sold mine. When Alias was not a show and they told mine. Elevate your mind with high quality THC infused products. BlackYeti.com. Black-Yeti.com.
CLB.
Get my coat, get my sheepskin, grab my wallet, get my pocket knife, and get that hat right there. We out. Grab my pocket knife too. Let's go. When I first came to the city, niggas didn't believe me. I just wanted to join a team and throw assist pass easily. 6-man off the bench, alley-oop pass freely. Suit up for one game and hope a scout might see me. But nah, niggas is greedy, wasn't rocking with him. Unplugged the scoreboard, put a lock on the gym. Told me to power forward, point guard at the rim. And left me with no center and a ball full of phlegm. Not knowing that I'm a dog, a Rottweiler within. With the heart of a pit bull that don't bark for pretend. My bites cut deep, break the bone and the skin. With the level of hustlenomics you do not comprehend. So first I took a block down on the west side end, and then secured a spot with some goons and some kin. And then sent out some flyers, let the games begin. And in 6 months time, the city like that's him. Oh yeah, he the one that moved the hustle to the burbs. And yeah, he the one that knocked the hustlers off the curb. And yeah, he the one that set up shop without a word. And he the one that got it cracking, and all he did was rapping by the Hooters. I kept killers from being shooters. Put a mic in a thug's hand, now he loyal like Pats fans. Take a man off the streets past the needles and crack cans. Promise mama to keep him safe, then put some food in his face and he'll kill for you. But I don't need him for that. Click like, click share, tell them bitches we back. Share the whole location, tell them niggas where we at. Cause we out here, we ain't the cheese, we the trap.